Happy Sunday, everybody. It's Chrissy from Chrissy's Corner for Collectors. And I took the summer off from the show just because we have a lot of things going on in our life and our family. And, but you know, I always love to cook. And Sundays is my cooking day. And that's generally where I will make a couple things for the week. And just so if our schedules aren't jiving and somebody has to come home and can't have dinner at the same time, we have stuff that we can eat. So the other thing that I like to do on Saturdays and Sundays is I go through my refrigerator. If there's anything that's not good anymore, I do get rid of it. And then see what I have in there that I can use up. So right now in Arizona, today it's 108 degrees. It's really hot. And I went to the food store, but before I went to the food store, I noticed I had opened up a can of peaches. Now, right now in Arizona, peaches are in season. So why I opened these, I don't know, but I did. They were delicious. I had a couple, but I have just about a jar full. So I decided what I would do is make a peach pie from scratch. So I'm gonna do that first, and then I'm gonna show you what kind of snacks we're gonna have for dinner. Using the peaches that I have, and also I bought some fresh ones. Let's get started. Okay, so I've taken most of the peaches out of that jar. I'm gonna save myself about a serving full to have with some cottage cheese in my lunch this week. And then what I did was I washed the fresh peaches, which again right now in Arizona is they're I can't talk today. It's peach season here in Arizona. That's what it is. So what I did was I mixed them up, and the peaches I've washed, and then what I'm doing is I'm kind of like doing what you would do with a pepper, going around the core. Let's see if I can turn this just a little bit. Going around the core. I leave the skins on when I'm making a natural peach pie, and here's why. I think it's really pretty when you go to cut into a pie and you see a little bit of that red. Because these peaches that are in the jar, they kind of look orange to me. They don't look like a peach. So I want to remember that this is a real peach pie. And I'm just dicing it into slices and putting it in. Now, the peaches from the jar were in their own juices. It wasn't syrupy, okay? It was a very light syrup, I should say. I do want my pie to be sweet, but I don't want to be so sweet that it's like the cans of preserves that you buy at the store in a can and you just throw it in a pie. I want it to be fresh. So one of the things I'm going to do to keep it fresh is I'm going to leave the skins on, number one. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice in here. And I got 5 peaches, 5 big natural peaches. And I tried to pick the ones that felt the softest. In season is the word I was looking for. Oh my goodness, it's been a long week. I don't know why this week. Just gonna flip me for a loop a little bit. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of shock you with this probably, but it really works. So I do want my filling to be not runny, mostly peaches, and so I do want to give it a little bit of a thickener. So you can do what you'd like to. You can use any kind of thickener that you think you might like to use. What I like to do is use Bisquick. And I just use a little bit of it. And then, I'll give it a little bit of thickening. So when we cut into the pie, it's not so watery and goes all over the place. So this is my last peach to cut. I know cutting peaches isn't that exciting. So I'm gonna cut away for now so that I can finish cutting these up and then show you the next step. Okay, there it is. I put a tablespoon of lemon juice. You could add some blackberries in here. I wouldn't use blueberries, but blackberries, because they have a little bit of a tang to them. I've saved myself just about that many peaches to make something for work. And, oh, I forgot this peach. Goodness gracious. And I gave them a good toss. In my pie pan, I've already put the crust, and I buttered the bottom of the crust. So that's waiting to go. So let me show you what we're gonna do next. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a little bit of my Bisquick, not a lot. I'm just gonna sprinkle maybe about a tablespoon in there. Okay, and that's gonna be like a thickening agent. I have some pie spice, which is cinnamon, nutmeg, a little of everything. I want to sprinkle that in there. And because I'm not adding sugar, just going to give that a toss. Because I'm not adding sugar and I still want it to thicken a little bit, I bought a jar of peach preserves. That's got plenty of sugar in it. It's thick. And it's gonna help my pie to be nice and rich, sweet, not over sweet, and melt all that together. And then I'm also gonna add some softened butter to that. And give that a stir. And smush that butter into there. Smush those preserves into there. That is salted butter, so it'll give it a little bit of saltiness, which will bring the sweetness out. And one more thing that I just recently started doing. To a lot of dishes where I can hide it, some chia seeds. I'm gonna throw some in there. And I'm doing that, first of all, it's good fiber. Second of all, I can hide it in there. It gives a little bit of texture that's a little unique. Oh my goodness, that smells so good. Okay, let's taste one. Okay, now, I'm gonna bring my pie crust over. Put my peaches in there, my peach mixture from my large bowl that you know I love. Okay, now I have the top crust. I wasn't going to do the top crust, but I think I will. I'm not going to make any kind of special designs. I'm just going to put 3 slits in it. I have my oven already on 350, so it is preheating. I'll lay this over the top, and I'm going to go around and do a kind of pinch, sealing it up so we don't get some juices flowing over the side. And oops, take a little of that excess off there. Now some people will do a milk wash on this. I'm just going to do a egg wash on this. Maybe I'll put a milk wash on it. I don't usually use milk washes, but maybe in this case. Okay, we're going to put 3 slits like that. We're going to get our little brush and our milk. Pour a little bit on top. kind of give it a bath. Did you ever think you'd be able to hide chia in your pie? And then if somebody says, what are these seeds in here? Oh, they're a, make something up. They're a Moroccan hemp, Eastern Madagascar. Just make something up. They don't know. Okay, this looks wonderful. I don't want to put it in the oven just like that though, because I'm afraid there's going to get drippings. And so I have a pan with a silicone mat on it. Then I'm going to put this on just like that, and it's going in the oven. Okay, what's next? So next, it's hot in Arizona, as you heard me tell you over and over again. So, and seafood is not always the best around here. So, on Sundays, sometimes I like to make things that we can pick on during the week and then something light to eat. So I came across these clams. They were a pretty good deal. They were $5.99 a pound. They are small, but that's okay. So this is going to be kind of our main dinner. Now, with clams, you got to make sure that you clean them really, really good. Now, these look pretty clean and fresh, but you never know. So what I do is I get my big bowl with cold water and a couple ice packs in it. I'm going to take my clams. I'm going to put some of that Bisquick in there, because the Bisquick's got kind of some baking soda in it. You just kind of rinse that around a little bit. And that'll make them want to open up and spit out some of the sand. I'm going to take my clams. I'm going to dump them right in here. And I want this water to be cold because they won't open up if it's not cold. And I'm going to give them a little shake around. And I'm checking them. Make sure they're not broken. And then on top of that, as they get cold, I'm also going to throw some ice in there. Get some ice. And we're going to throw some ice in there. Now you see I've thrown some ice in there. And they're going to stay nice and cold. I'm going to leave them in there for about an hour or so to really soak, start to open up. Every so often I'll go in and give it a little toss. And then put this whole bowl in the fridge to keep it cold. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to check my pie and get ready for the wings. So what I did was, again, I like to cook on Sundays, get it all done at one time. And so for this week, I bought 4 pounds of chicken party wings. And they're ice glazed. So they're frozen. So as soon as the place unopened bag, large bowl pan for 12 hours. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit because the oil starts to go on a little bit, which is fine. I have a big pan I can put these in, and then I'm gonna season them, put them in the pan, and then cook them. But you'll have to wait till the pie is done. So once the pie comes out, I'll show it to you guys, and then we'll get ready to put the wings in, and then the last thing will be I'll show you the cook. Elsa in her pool. Tilly hasn't come out yet. 108. And I'm making a peach pie. Okay, so the pie is just about done. And so what's going to happen is as soon as I take it out, I'm going to turn the temperature up from 350 to 400 for the wings. So I took a half a bag of that big bag of frozen wings. And I have them in my big bowl, and we're gonna coat them and let them coat for a little bit while we're waiting for the pie to come out. So I have still a little bit of that Bisquick mix. So we're gonna put half of that in there. And then this time I'm using Old Canadian Chicken Rub. It's just a blend from our local Superstitious Ranch Farmers Market. And it's got garlic, onions, sea salt, spices, dehydrated parsley, green bell pepper, orange peel, paprika. And so we're gonna give it a really good generous coat of that. Remember, these are frozen, so they have a little bit of moisture on them. And so we're gonna really try to coat them really well. And the reason I'm cooking so many is because it's gonna be a very crazy week this week at work. And I'm not gonna be able to cook dinner every single night, so at least this is something we can pick, we can take for lunches, and so on. So, I am gonna throw a little bit of oil on top of here. Extra virgin olive oil. And we're gonna stir it again. All right. Now, I got my pan ready to go with the oil. And I'm gonna lay these on my pan, not touching, giving them a little bit of space in between. If you like vinegar and sea salt and vinegar wings, I do have a really good recipe for that. So, but it is not a one-day thing. So that is something you have to prepare for about at least 24 hours ahead. And throwing these on there like that. And then I have a little bit of extra of this rub. So wherever I see any place that's not coated, I'm gonna put a little bit extra on, just like that, and sprinkle even more on top of that. This is a good rub. They have a lot of different rubs at our Superstitious. It's like a little farmer's market. There's a lot of local produce that's brought there, and you get a lot of special deals. But they have a lot of good mixed rubs, which are really good. Okay, so I'm going to take the pie out right now, turn it up, wait for the temperature to 400, and then I'll pop these in and I'll be back to show you. Okay, I emptied the rest of the chicken. I'm adding the rest of the Bisquick. I'm gonna add the oil. And then this one is called Cattleman's Ranch. I'm not gonna use as much as this because this is a little spicy. So I'm just gonna add a little in here, but then I'll coat the rest. Because this does have a little kick to it, so not horrible, but enough. So we'll do this a good old switch around. And so I just put the other pack into the oven. I'm gonna let that go for about 20 minutes, flip them and let them go for another 15 minutes. All right, I'll be back. Okay, the pie is done and it is cooling on my butcher block. The wings are done. Both batches are in here. I added some mild buffalo sauce and gave them a little bit of a stir. And we're gonna start the clams here shortly. And then we'll be good. Okay. So I'm gonna get this pan ready for the clams, which are in the sink over there, and they're draining. So I mixed them a couple times, took them out of the cold water. So now they're just kind of getting all the liquid out of it because we're gonna infuse some other liquid. I've got some fresh herbs from my garden. I've got a fresh onion from my garden. And in the pan, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna peel my onion, my red onion. So I've got butter, emaciated garlic, not cloves, I like that. And I'm starting to put my fresh herbs in. So this is going to be time consuming. I'm not going to have you guys watch me do all this, but basically thyme, rosemary, onion, and some celery. The celery, I'm gonna chop up fine. And everything's gonna be added into here before clams are put in here. So I have some chopped up celery, some thyme in there, garlic, some butter. I'm gonna use 1 glass of Chardonnay and a glass of cold water. I'm gonna throw some of my Maggi seasoning in it, a couple squirts of that, not a whole bunch. Some Old Bay seasoning. Some salt. I use Himalayan pink salt. Some pepper. Usually I would use white pepper. I don't have any white pepper for today, so I'm just using regular black pepper. And then the leaves of the celery, I'm gonna chop them really nice and fine. It's gonna be a very herby broth. Now I usually get a thing of, so this is chopped celery. Throw that in there. I'm also gonna add a little bit of chicken stock. Not a lot, just a little. If I can get the top off. Now this onion is going to cut in half. I could have used green onions or chives, but I have this purple onion from my garden, and it's not a real big one, so this is a perfect for it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on kind of like 5, I think. Just to kind of get all the flavors to start melting together and sweating down those onions. Again, I don't want a lot of onion in there, maybe a little bit more. And then I think tonight, since it's a 50 year of Jaws, after I watch my coin shows, I think I'll make some popcorn and watch Jaws. Okay, so for the parsley, I've got fresh parsley here. I'm gonna take it off of the stalk. I don't want the stalk in there. And I just picked this outside, so it's really fresh. I'm gonna finely chop that up. So what you're gonna start seeing is you're gonna start seeing the butter melt, the emaciated garlic, which is pulverized garlic. And the only reason I'm using that is because I don't want this to be chunky, number one. But I got a good deal on that jar. I think they were discontinuing the huge jars because really how much garlic can you use, you know? And it's like $3 for the jar. So I was like, why not? And then I also have some rosemary. So the rosemary, I'm gonna take the edges off, little petals. I don't want the big sticks in there. And then I'll chop them up too. So this is gonna be a really flavorful broth. So, you know, you might be saying, well, why are you wasting all this time on the broth? Well, the thing is once we eat the clams, I can save the broth to make clams and linguine with clam sauce. So we'll use this. So why not put the effort into it now while you can, you know? So I'm gonna chop it with the rest of the thyme. Again, all from the garden. And it just looks delicious too. I mean, it's just a pretty clear broth with the chicken. And then the last thing I'm gonna use is a lemon. So we'll have the lemon in the dipping butter, but I also want some lemon juice in here. So I'm gonna cut the edges off. I'm gonna give it a roll, kind of soften it a little bit, and then I'm gonna cut slices. I'm gonna let that broth come together a little bit. Smells good. Give it a little stir. And we want the alcohol in the wine to kind of cook off. So I'm gonna let that cook off a little bit before I add my clams, and then I'll be back. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of a boil going on there. And all the onions are fairly translucent. So let me get my clams. We'll start dropping them in here. They're a little smaller than I would really like to get, but they looked really fresh. And this store does have some pretty fresh meats and fish. So I thought I'll give it a try. Okay. Spread them out a little bit. And there they go. Okay, there they are. They smell terrific. The only thing is, I forgot to buy Italian bread because I like to dip my crusty Italian bread in there. So that's it. We're gonna snack on this. I did try the pie. It's okay. It was a little waterier than I expected it to be. So I was a little disappointed with that. But live and learn. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next time.